Welcome to Central News, I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, Bay of Plenty Polytechnic student Fenna Beats has been rewarded for her research into the environmental impacts of the Rena. Fenna's research was on the impacts of the Rena oil and the dispersant used, that is banned in parts of the UK, on kingfish larvae. Fenna says she hopes that her research and scholarship can help towards her Masters in Marine Studies.
For me personally, I'm hoping that it'll open up a gateway to do my Masters. I think it's really important that we look at the long-term effects that oil and Corex have on marine fish larvae. So this would involve on growing them for a couple of weeks to see if the exposure in their early life stages has left them with long-term effects, or if in fact they have been able to recover within that time frame.
The Cancer Society's fundraising event, Relay for Life, is shaping up to be a big one as teams around the country are preparing for the 22-hour event. This year will be its 10th anniversary in Hamilton and see its return to Tauranga in more than 6 years. Pink Panther team member Martin Miles says it is important to participate in events like these, as nearly every New Zealander has been affected by cancer.
I think because cancer is such a prevalent thing and it affects so many people, and we've probably got the mindset that it's going to be someone else, it's never going to be me. So it's not so much of probably safeguarding yourself, but it's the whole community which is involved or susceptible to this particular disease. So, and I think we've lost a lot of community spirit as time has gone on. So just put a bit back into the community in which you live and do something for your fellow man.
Bay of Plenty farmers are doing better in complying with the Bay of Plenty Regional Council's dairy farm effluent requirements, but they could improve. This week's Regional Council Operations Monitoring and Regulation Committee meeting heard that 74% of the 297 farms visited during the dairy season were fully complying with their consent conditions, an improvement on last season's 67%. Significant non-compliance, where effluent is overflowing to land where it could or did flow into a watercourse, dropped from 14 to 11%. Scientists believe they are seeing the beginning of a process that may eventually result in a supervolcano under Samoa. In a study to be published in scientific papers this week, the study's principal author and an assistant professor of geology and geophysics at the University of Utah, Michael Thorne, says the eruption will not happen for another 100 to 200 million years. The new study indicates 2 or more continent-sized piles of rock are colliding as they move at the bottom of Earth's thick mantle and atop the thicker core some 1,800 miles beneath the Pacific. That is creating a large zone of partly molten rock that may be the root of massive eruptions in the future. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, morning cloud clearing to a fine afternoon with light winds. Your expected high is 27 and an overnight low of 13. Tauranga, morning cloud clearing for a fine afternoon for you too, with sea breezes. Your expected high is 24 and an overnight low of 16. Just ahead, Bay of Plenty drivers are the fastest in the country. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. The Ministry of Transport's 2012 speed survey revealed some disturbing facts about Bay of Plenty drivers. But it was not all bad, but there is definitely room for improvement.
For the Bay of Plenty, we've got one of the highest urban speeds on average in the country. We're about 3 kilometres an hour above the national average, which might not sound a lot, but when you're looking at the bulk of cars travelling at those kind of speeds, it is an issue.
And on the open road?
Open road's not so bad. Our mean speed is still above the national average, which is 95.6 kilometres an hour. So that's the average, all right, which is below the limit. But our 85th percentile, which means 15% of cars are travelling faster than the speed, is at 107. Now the national average is 103. Now we know from research that every kilometre an hour you take out of the average speed, you save a number of lives. So we are putting lives at risk with the speeds that are being travelled in the Bay of Plenty.
Are we improving our speed record?
Well, no, we're not. It's both urban and rural speeds have pretty much flatlined. They've gone up and down, but there has been no step change in the Bay of Plenty for a considerable period of time. And that includes both mean speeds and 85th percentile. Nationally, they've been coming down, which is a good news story. So if you think of the national strategy of a safe system approach, reducing speeds is taking energy out of the system. So when things go wrong, as they inevitably will, the consequences of those crashes are less. For us in the Bay, there is still too much energy in the system.
What is the leading cause of car accidents in the Bay of Plenty?
For the Bay of Plenty, last year, looking at the results from the crash reports, poor observation and loss of control are the listed or nominated crash causes, but behind that there's a whole range of factors. So why do people lose control? A lot of that is going too fast. A lot of that could be alcohol, inattention. We've had a number of crashes related to the use of cell phones, and some of those have resulted in serious injury. So when we say poor observation, loss of control, behind that is a whole range of human factors that cause that. And some of them could be environmental as well. Roadworks, weather plays a part.
So can you tell us about the new Back to School campaign?
Sure. This is a focus nationally, so all police districts in the country engage in this, and as we in the Bay, looking after our most vulnerable. So at the beginning of each school term, when kids go back to school, and particularly the younger ones, so you're looking at the very young kids, some of whom are going to school for the first time, are not focused on what's going on around them with cars and buses and getting to school. They're focused on the big adventure. And for a lot of other older kids, it's re-engaging with their school and their mates. So we have a specific focus on schools. We have a lower speed tolerance of 4 kilometres an hour before we'll take enforcement action. And a lot of schools now have a lower speed limit of 40 kilometres an hour. We also, with the commercial vehicle unit for the Waikato and Bay of Plenty, have gone through and inspected all school buses to ensure that they are safe. So there is an assurance to all parents out there that the buses their kids are travelling in are fit for purpose. They're all good to go.
There's actually 40 kilometres speed limit around some schools, and the police reinforce that.
Yes, that's the message we're giving motorists. The reality is, if you hit a child at 40 kilometres an hour, you're still going to do some serious damage, and chances are they could die. Now, I just don't get it why people need to go so fast around schools. It's just plain dumb. Don't care who they are, parents, passers-by, local residents. There is no excuse for speeding around schools where there are lots of vulnerable young people who are unpredictable, particularly big groups of kids. It's the responsibility of motorists to slow down and drive accordingly.
How many fatalities are caused by speeding?
We had 8 crashes last year in 2012 in the Bay of Plenty Police District, directly attributable to excessive speed. Now, that could be above the posted speed limit or too fast for the conditions. Now, that's 8 out of 26 fatal crashes, and we had 38 deaths resulting from those crashes last year.
That number has significantly decreased in the last 4 years. What do you think has helped that?
Look, we have been focused on high-risk areas within the Bay of Plenty, so we've spent a lot of time looking at the risk factors, the crash causes, the locations, the driving behaviour, and we focused our attention and our staff on the right places at the right time, right activity. It's not a magic formula, it's just using intelligence and applying a fix to the problem. And it's been consistent. For example, here in Tauranga, during winter we have a winter action plan, which is a partnership approach with the regional council, the local council, New Zealand Transport Agency, ACC, where we target the Kaimais in particular and State Highway 2. that's seen some outstanding results.
Coming up next, what to do in an emergency. Welcome back. We spoke with the manager of the Thames Valley Emergency Operating Area about his role and the importance of knowing what to do in an emergency.
Yeah, as the manager of the Thames Valley Emergency Operating Area, my role is to actually make sure the Emergency Operations Centre based in Thames is functional. And during an emergency, initially there will be a lead agency. In most cases it's the police, and so they will be in charge of the incident, and my role is to make sure that all the resources and information they need to manage the emergency is available. And in the event that a civil defence declaration is made, my role is to support the controller, who would then take the coordinating role of the emergency. So part of my function is to make sure the council staff are trained in operating the Emergency Operations Centre, and also that we have good coordination between the emergency services. And part of my role is to make sure that the community is well informed about how we manage emergencies during a civil defence event.
How do you hope to communicate with everyone?
We have a number of channels that we use. Obviously public education is a big part of our role, and so we make use with the websites of the 3 district councils that make up the Thames Valley Emergency Operating Area. We're currently in the process of developing a single page, so it doesn't matter which council you come through, you will access a civil defence page. So that information is all available. The Ministry of Civil Defence and Emergency Management, they also have a website that puts out general information, so we encourage people to go there. And we use a number of avenues. We meet regularly with the emergency services. We have obligations under law to meet regularly. We're controlled by a committee of council, so they set the workflow plans for our business unit, and we're measured against performance there. And a big part of our work is actually going out to communities and talking to community groups. And our main function in terms of education is that get ready, get through message, but we obviously have to put stuff around that to support that message. So our role is to get out there, talk to community groups, and what we're trying to do is raise the awareness of what are the natural hazards around you, what are the technical hazards, and how do you prepare yourself and get ready.
There's a responder citizen.
Yeah, our office, as part of when I came on board, the Get Ready, Get Through message is a good national generic message. And what we found going out and talking to groups is most groups want you as a guest speaker, and we wanted a topic that was easy to discuss and it caught people's attention. And through my studies, I came across a concept by Dr. Irwin Redlander, and he's a paediatrician in America, and he's well recognised as an expert in research into emergency response, readiness and recovery, and he coined this concept of citizen responder, and it sort of has 8 principles to it, and we found that was a really good tool to go out to community groups and talk about.
What are those 8 principles?
The 8 principles, the first one is stay as fit and healthy as you can, given your own abilities to do that, and the doctor's argument is the fitter and healthier you are, the better your ability is to even basically escape from an event, and the fitter and healthier you are, the better your brain works under stress. And there's a lot of other researchers that have found that. There's also the develop a citizen responder state, and what we mean by that is everybody in the house that's able-bodied, and we're saying children from 8 upwards, and all the adults in a house should know how to turn off the power, the water, the gas. And that just simply makes a building safe after an event, or you know that there's an emergency occurring, such as flooding, or there's been an earthquake, or a tsunami potential exists. So people should know how to do that. And we saw in Christchurch, the reality is when a rapid onset event like an earthquake occurs, the emergency services can be stretched very quickly. And we saw a lot of television footage where civilians were actually the rescuers. And there's some very basic principles around working around buildings and that are very easy to teach people about. So we encourage people to think about, what if it's me that's on the street and somebody's trapped in a car and there isn't going to be an emergency service for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours.
So what are some of the other?
The other one is learn basic CPR and first aid, and that sounds so obvious. And one of the advantages of that is that can be used any day. You know, in an ageing population, the risk of people having a heart attack or medical condition, and you could just save somebody's life simply by knowing how to do CPR. Another one is situational awareness. we get so focused and busy in our lives when we go, and we get excited about going out to events and that, and we attend lots of large crowd events. So Dr. Irwin is talking about being aware of the environment you're in. It's like going to a theatre. You know, where are the exit doors? You know, how many people think about when I'm in a stadium, if something happened now, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out? And, you know, one of the things he says is, if you have children, you know, where are your children in a crowd? How quickly can you identify where your kids are, you know? And so that situational awareness is really important. And becoming disaster informed, and that's part of our role with communities. What are the natural hazards in your area? And what mitigations have local councils taken to reduce the impact? And if they were to occur, such as flooding or an earthquake or a tsunami, how would you cope with that? And we also look at clarifying your personal networks. So that's about how do you communicate with each other. You know, we're at work at the moment, where are our children, where are the other people we care and love, and how are we going to communicate with each other, and developing a community of or communications plan around an emergency. So having alternatives. Is it feasible in your home to have 2 different telephone systems? Is there somebody remote from you in another city or town that everybody in your family can call and say, well, I'm safe, if you can't communicate with each other? And we saw that in Christchurch, you know, where the system gets overloaded very quickly, but people could still communicate outside of the area. And the last one's just working with your family and building resilience. And Dr. Redler really encourages people to discuss with their children television events, disasters that we see on TV, and just keep things in perspective. You know, because at the end of the day, heart attack, stroke, cancer are the 3 biggest killers of people in the world, not natural disasters. So just educate your children to be aware, and yourself, as what's going on around you.
Coming up, a new home. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Iris House is a new home for the physically disabled of Tauranga, and it is purpose-built with all the modifications one might need. I spoke with the team leader to find out how the new residents like it.
Watching the residents settle into this new environment in Iris has been really exciting. It's been exciting watching them develop their new independence, making personal decisions for themselves, and actually socialising in such a lot more appropriate environment. It's been really good.
Tell us about the opening.
The opening was really a great success. We had Tauranga put on its wonderful perfect weather. We had a really good turnout. We had speeches from the Ministry of Health, MPs, or our local MP Simon Bridges, as well as members of the Iris board, our CEO, and residents actually also had a bit of a spiel. So it was a really good morning. It was lots of people from the community and our stakeholders came to welcome it in, and it just closed the whole spirit of Iris, and it was lovely.
And what is a purpose-built shared living facility?
Well, here at Iris, we have purpose-built 5 2 or 3 bedroom units solely for physically disabled adults. We have each unit has for ease for our physically disabled. We have large wet area bathrooms, large living areas, small kitchenette. We also have a shared large kitchen facility where the staff can help residents prepare meals, and a laundry.
So what alterations have you actually made to this place specifically?
Oh, okay. Well, this particular location was purpose sought after for its location. It's flat area environment. It's close proximity to the local shop, so all our residents can just wander up there in their chairs and do their local shopping or any other goodies, cafes, really nice up there. And then the hotel itself was pretty much gutted, and we started from scratch pretty much and built it all up, purpose-built, like I said, with the wet areas and large, flat surfaces and easy doors and everything else.
So this was actually a hotel?
This was a hotel. It's the Green Park Hotel. Been here for many, many years, apparently. Yeah. So.
What is Iris?
Iris is a social enterprise organisation owned by the Cerebral Palsy Association. It is diverse services cater for people with disabilities. Our head office is in Auckland, and we are also in Hamilton, Rotorua, and here in Tauranga. Some of the services it offers is support, home support, community living like this one, and also rehabilitation.
Is there anything else like this in the country?
Not as far as I know specifically like this, similar but not like this. The Ministry of Health saw the issue of how there is very few purposely appropriate facilities for young people with disabilities that need 24-hour support, and majority will end up in aged care facilities if places like Iris aren't more available to them.
So if this wasn't here, some of your residents would be in aged care facility?
Will still be, unfortunately, inappropriately in rest homes, solely because of their physical needs aren't being met or can't be met in the community, so they go into aged care facilities where they are socialising with the elderly and not age-appropriate, and age-appropriate activities as well as age-appropriate socialisation.
Tell us about your staff.
I have to say I have a wonderful team of staff. All of our staff are trained in healthcare or support work, or will be trained, or have training. I'll give credit to Iris, who has support all their staff in upgrading their training to help improve our services.
Now, we were lucky enough to speak with one of the first residents who ever to step foot in Iris House. Tamia Heiho. What makes this place so much easier to live in?
It's like a family home. It's just like home.
Do you think living here will make a difference to your happiness?
Absolutely.
What is the modifications here?
It's actually purpose-built for people with physical disabilities.
And what is the biggest modification that's going to make the biggest difference to you?
Just the getting in and out with the door. There's a code on the door. You just push the numbers and it'll just slide open. Easy as.
So where were you living before Iris House?
Oakland Life Care for elderly people.
And did you enjoy it there?
I did actually, because I like talking with the older people. But this is much better for my age.
What's your favourite thing here?
They've got a mobility van and they can take me anywhere I want to. And I've been home to Maketu about 3 times. Yes, great to see the whānau.
What are the staff like?
They're fabulous, the best.
That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.